Hey there, my name's Bags, and in this video we're going to look at 23 different variations of triple hoop weave. Now some of them are going to be quite complicated and some of them are going to be considerably more accessible. But we're going to go through a whole variety of different types of weave and we're going to look at some ways of making them slightly more complicated, so little variations on them to make them more visually interesting. So the first one we're going to look at is this. This is one of the more basic ones. It's a 2-beat weave and I've got 2 hoops in one hand doing a figure 8 and 1 hoop in the other hand doing a figure 8. So this is a good place to start. Then we can make this weave slightly more complicated by putting a little throw and a switch at the side. So I do my basic 2-beat weave here, and then I get to this side and I do a throw and switch. Just makes it a bit more visually interesting. So this is quite a nice simple weave. I'm just passing the purple hoop from side to side. So you see the purple hoop gets transferred to that side, transfer to that side, and the other hoops just do a figure 8 each. We can make this pattern a little bit more interesting. We can add a switch and a thumb roll at each side. So I'm still just passing that purple hoop, see, pass the purple, but as soon as I pass the purple I do a thumb roll and a switch. So the hand with a single hoop in does a thumb roll, the hand with 2 does a switch. I think that makes it quite a lot more visually interesting. So without the thumb roll and the switch, we can change this pattern from side to side with a little sort of isolation movement in the middle. You see I sort of isolate that purple one. So then this is a slightly more complicated one. Now I'm passing each hoop. So first of all I pass the yellow one, and then I pass the blue one, and then on that other side I'm going to pass the purple one. And I'm doing a little sort of back of the hand roll there. Now again we can make this pattern a little bit more interesting by doing that throw and switch at each side. This time we do it at both sides. That's the throw and switch. So this is the change, and then we do the throw and the switch, like so. Without the throw and the switch, we can throw up and spin both of the bottom hoops. So this pattern's quite challenging. I'm changing each hoop one at a time, and I throw it up and spin the 2 bottom ones. It's quite a difficult one to do, but I think it's quite visually pleasing. Okay, then this is a very similar weave to the first weave we looked at, but now the hand that has 2 hoops in is in a slightly different position. It's more of a hip weave. You can see my hand's the other way up, and it's much closer to my hip. This allows us to do some other interesting weave changes. So that's a back of the hand roll. One of the hoops is doing the back of the hand roll for the hand that has 2 hoops in. You see, it just rolls over the back of my hand. So that's quite difficult, but it does give us a 3-beat weave. This is another one which is even harder this time. Instead of doing a straight back of the hand roll, I'm doing a grip change and doing a splitter type movement. So the 2 hoops are spinning on my hand in split time, and then I have to do a grip change to come back into that 2 hoops in one hand position. So this one's really quite challenging and involves a weird grip change. Then this is a 2-beat waist wrap. So it's a front waist wrap with a 2-beat weave on either side. Now I think this move's quite pretty, but that bit there is quite awkward. So it's when your hoop comes there, you sort of have to do a weird backwards movement. Then this is a behind the back waist wrap, which is even more awkward, and that point is probably the messiest. So it's when my hand comes behind me there, you can see the 2 hoops come together a little bit because I've not quite got it clean. But it's achievable, and I think it's going to look quite pretty when I've got it smooth. Ooh, pleasantly awkward. So then this is the same idea as the front waist wrap, but now we're doing a little shoulder reel to turn with it. So we're turning all the way around. And I think this is quite a pretty pattern. Then this is a pendulum weave. So I'm doing 2 circles and then a pendulum to create a sort of a 3-beat weave. You can see I bring the hoops around and I pendulum them back to come under that 3rd hoop. Pendulum. Pendulum. Which is a satisfying word to say. Boom. And then another 3-beat weave here. This one uses Z-spins. So I'm Z-spinning those hoops to get that 3rd circle. Boom, to go around the other arm. Like so. So I think this one's quite pretty. Whoosh. Like that. Especially when the 2 hoops do the Z-spin. Although it's quite nice having the contrast between the single hoop doing it and then the 2 hoops doing it. And this one you can do with 4 hoops, which is nice, although it's a bit more awkward. So then this is, I call these ladder weaves, because we're holding the hoops all in a line like a ladder. And it's not overly interesting, but you can turn with it, which is quite nice. You can do these sort of pirouette turns. And then this I think is more interesting. I call this a Trinity Position. And you can see that middle hoop's turning now, and I'm actually doing a 3-beat weave this time, as opposed to the last one, which was a 2-beat weave. And then this is a 4-beat fountain with that same Trinity grip. I think this is very pretty. And this is a turning 3-beat weave with the Trinity grip. And then lastly, this is a 6-beat fountain with that Trinity grip, and you can see that middle hoop is twisting now, whereas it stayed straight with the 4-beat fountain. And then this is a more complicated pattern. This is a tossed juggling pattern where we're trying to do a sort of weave shape underneath the cascade. So it's quite complicated, this, because one hoop's in the air the whole time and then the other ones are spinning around. And then this is an even more complicated version where you wing one hoop really high in the air and then do a turning weave underneath it. There you go, that purple one just went up really high, and I spin around, and then I come back into it's called a Mike's mess, this pattern, when you're not turning. This bit here is a Mike's mess. So there we go. That's my 23 different variations of triple hoop weave. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there was something there that you haven't tried, and it gives you something to play with. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you keep watching the videos that I'm putting out on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.